All right, so starting with this weekly outlook. I'm going to start with the reviews of each pair, and then we'll go into any trades that I took, and then what I'm looking for in the following weeks. All right, we'll start with indices per usual. Nasdaq. Now, I was bullish this week on Nasdaq. Reason being is US 30 was dipping lower. Okay. Now, although US 30 is completely unaligned with Nasdaq and S&P, the SMT that it created at the lows and just being all-time highs, I was expecting Nasdaq to follow through on the higher side. So, what I had saw was we had a daily gap here on Nasdaq. We had tapped this gap last week. Okay, so we put in a failure swing, a liquidity pool inside a key level in a bullish market, right? Expansion, range, we put in a low, we turtle soup at a key time, okay, and expand. So if you mark, I thought this week was very clean for indices, at least Nasdaq. Uh, I honestly didn't even look at S&P this week. I'll check in a second. But as far as this weekly profile, I thought this was a very clear and clean trade. If you notice as well, right? So we're bullish on the week. We have daily key level sponsorship, right? If you revert back to what I told you guys, right? You need a high time from key level, liquidity pool, and time, right? If I'm bullish, I'm expecting this high time from key level to hold. I have this liquidity pool, and we purge it on a Tuesday, right? Now, I usually don't trade this because it is market on close, but you'll notice what happened the next day. Okay, if Tuesday is gonna make low week, what's the next day gonna be? Who can tell me? Yep, distribution candle, right? Classic buy day. This is what I would trade. I wouldn't take this because it's not at a time that I trade. But if you mark midnight, right? If I mark this Wednesday session, okay, I mark London, which is 2 to 5. I mark New York, which is 8, or technically 7 to 12. Just to make it blue. If you notice, what do we get right at London Open? We get a purge of a liquidity pool, right? London makes a low a day. We chop around. What's New York do? New York opens. We turtle soup another low that purged this high, right? We created a range. So you have your London low a day, New York OTE, and expansion. Okay. Now I was more focused on forex this week, so I was not really paying attention to indices, which I'll show you why, because I was already in a position. But this was very clear, and you can see it from an hourly standpoint. Of we created an hourly liquidity pool inside of this gap. We ranged, and then we turtle souped it on a day that's we expect to be a classic buy day. Okay. Would you say this was we? Yeah, I would. The weird thing with indices is S&P. Here, let me remove this. Let me go to 4. So S&P is way weaker, and US 30 is just dumping. Okay, so they are now officially uncorrelated, but I would anticipate for S&P, we could probably see something like this next week, where Nasdaq could take out this failure swing low, and S&P could dig into this weekly key level below this low, right? Again, expansion, we range, turtle soup, expansion. Okay. Anticipating that this weekly key level could hold this FVG. That's what I'm seeing on indices as of now. And honestly, this looks like a fairly good swing um, off this key level here. So yeah, it should be week 3 on Nasdaq, but it's week 2. It's still a range on S&P, and that's most likely due to the month of year, because last month of the year is most likely going to be a consolidation from the monthly or from the yearly distribution. Okay, so let's hop into gold. For gold, I do believe that we are bearish. Reason being is December had opened up, right? Well, let's start on the high time frame. Although this candle did close inside here, okay? It did close inside here. On a weekly time frame, we had consolidated week 1 of the month. Week 2 has manipulated this high into this gap and touching this order block, and then closed back inside. So I'm expecting week 3 to distribute lower on gold. It could be possibly from this daily order block. It could be from the CE of this wick on the weekly chart. Those are the key levels that I'll be looking at on gold for another extended move lower, at least to this liquidity pool. And then we'll see from there. Would you say that this was manipulation week 2 on AMD model? Oh, that was earlier? Okay. So now going into Forex, we'll start with DXY. Now DXY to me is bullish. Okay, we're invalidating this weekly key level, right? We're closing above it, and we're also closing above this key level. Okay, this or not key level, excuse me. This candle closure above indicates that we'll get continuation the next week. Okay, so I'll be looking for a continued move on dollar, which means euro, and I'll get to my trade after my outlook. Which means euro could have an extended move down to this low. Now, we just took out a large liquidity pool, so I'm expecting, right, like I told you guys the last review, I'm expecting a range to form here because it's the end of the year. We took out a large liquidity pool. We've been expanding for 2-3 months now. Okay, it makes sense for the end of this year to consolidate. So I don't expect any sustained moves on Forex, more so just the possibility of catching some daily ranges. Okay. And then same for GU. We're closing below this low. Okay, we have a daily FEG. So it looks pretty good for a little sustained move lower short term. Now getting into my trade, I had traded euro this week. Reason being is for dollar, I wanted dollar to reject this high because it was inside of this weekly key level. Okay. So we took out this liquidity pool. We had closed below this candle, indicating a bearish order block. And then week 1, I'll go to a 4. We created 2 failure swings in here. Okay. So I was anticipating this to be soup. Okay. Now, if the candle opens up here and I'm expecting this to be soup, I now have a high probability long to here. Okay, even though that this key level did not hold, I have a high probability opportunity from here to here. Okay, so I took advantage of that on euro. If you go to a daily chart, this is Monday. Monday had tapped this daily rejection block on the hourly chart right here. Okay, and if I mark out my weekly open and close, okay, when Monday opens up and we hit a key level like this and we reject it, right, we're closing through this low. When Monday does this, what's Tuesday? Someone tell me what Tuesday is. When Monday hits a key level, rejects. Yep, Tuesday's OTE and classic sell day. Right? Distribution. I'm expecting distribution this day, which is why I waited for this to happen, because this would be the clean day of the week. And as you notice, this was the only distribution day this entire week. And we just chopped around. Okay? So I expected this day to be distribution. I was trusting this high on Monday because it had hit a key level and rejected. So what do? I mark out my midnight. Midnight to 1600. What do I want to see on midnight? I want to see a rally at a key time above a high. Rally above this high. 130, 4-hour open right here. My short was right here. It was somewhere down here. And then I had pyramided on this 30-minute Model 1. Right here. Okay. Expecting expansion, which was given. Okay. When do we cap? We start capping the range at the end of New York session around 11 o'clock. And then the rest of the week goes. And I had taken it off when DXY took the high. So around, I think I took it off right here. Okay. So this was my trade for the week. Something like that. Okay, any questions on that? That all make sense? Yep. So, that is pretty much all I had taken. I did try, I want to be transparent, I did try a long here that got stopped break even. So I had longed, where was it? 8 a.m. Not 9 a.m. I longed the news driver on Euro with a stop loss. Let me go to the 4. I think I just did a generic 15 pip. Let me double check. I have it in my notes real quick. Yep. I did a 15 pip stop loss on news. Right here. So I got my entry was, it was somewhere in here. I had 15 pips. And then per my rules, I have a systemized time when I break even, okay? I only break even after a 15-minute high that took a low or a low that took a high gets flipped, okay? So when I'm entering this turtle soup right here of this low, okay, we had SMT with dollar on the last week's highs that I was telling you guys about, right here. When I take a trade like this, once this high gets flipped, why this high? Because this high caused, let me get rid of that. This high caused the purge of this low. Once this gets flipped and closed above, I break even. Okay, so I got hit break even here. I said if this goes again, you know, it's not a part of my model. Why? Because it's not efficient, right? I want to trade efficient action. Okay, so once that high got flipped and we got an hourly CSD here, I break even. It stopped me break even, and then it ended up chopping. Okay, so I am 1 win, 1 break even on the week. I think I had taken that with, I think Kieran, did you take that? I was talking to somebody about it. But yeah, those were the only 2 executions I took all week, and I am up around 4%, risking 0.3. What do you think about the long on NAS Thursday, 10 a.m.? Let me look. 10 a.m. What was the key level? Was it on the daily, Kieran? So yeah, I would have had, if I were to take any long, it would have had to have been off this key level. Oops. Which we didn't tap. So us not tapping this key level tells me we're going to come back to it. And remember what I told you, right? What do I anticipate S&P to do? I anticipate S&P to take out this low into this key level. What did NASDAQ do? NASDAQ engineered a liquidity pool right above a daily key level. Okay? Which also, we closed inside this range on Friday. So what do you expect this next week to do? We're most likely going to come down. We're going to hit this daily key level. And we're going to go higher. With S&P purging and making SMT on this range low into this weekly key level. Okay? So, me personally, I would not have taken it because I don't like using key levels below a daily time frame. Right here. Now, as a range play, I'm guessing you were looking at this. 1, 2. It's not horrible, right? Expansion, range, soup expansion. But when this intermediate term low is put above this daily key level, my focus would be strictly on this daily key level. Okay? Because you want to see a range, right? Instead of looking at it like this, like I want to soup this, you should look at strictly this key level and say, okay, I want to see some range form above this for us to then soup it, right? Which is exactly what's happening right now. And this would provide a much better sustained entry for a longer price move. Okay. The lower time frame key levels you use, the less expansion you're going to get. If you use a 5-minute key level or a 15-minute key level, you're not going to get a weekly expansion unless it's already tapped a higher time frame key level. Okay. High time frame key levels are the springs for low time frame action, right? So if you're looking for a daily expansion, you have to know where in price is it likely to do that, right? Which will be on your daily plus charts. So, yeah. And now actually looking at it, next week looks very good for indices, especially with the week closing like this. We're creating a gap that we're going to SMT. NASDAQ is very bullish right now. So, yeah, it looks like pretty good longs for next week. On this right here. But I think any more questions? Fed rate on Wednesday. Yep, that could definitely be a driver. We could get a consolidation and a Wednesday reversal, depending on when S&P manipulates that range. Yeah, Bitcoin, I can check Bitcoin. So I completely removed Bitcoin from my watch list right here. Reason being is when we take out both sides of liquidity pools like this, and I guess this is probably just from chart time, but I know that we're going to stay inside this candle for a long ass time. I don't expect us to purge this candle for the rest of the year. If we do, great. But when we get this big pump and dump, it's usually just followed by a massive fucking range. So I completely removed it from my watch list for the time being. There's really no analysis that can be done here until a side is purged. If we reject, I wouldn't just short if the high is purged because we're just pumping. But if we reject the high, we get back inside, then you can look for soups to the low. But just, I guess, from an experience level, I completely removed it because I figured we would chop inside of this candle for a while. Towel, yeah. Let me just, there we go. Weekly gap. Looks like this low is still holding for the most part. We did close below this, but not by much, and we're still failing. If we got a closure below this low, any closure below this low, I'd be worried. But I wouldn't be worried right now. We're still failing to close below here, below this liquidity pool. If this low is closed below, this low most likely be a target on a monthly basis. Yeah, I would just watch for closures below this low on a daily time frame. But to me, it still looks bullish because of all these wicks and rejections of this liquidity pool, this low that took this high. Yeah, it should be a kiss of death for all-time highs. And this chart's actually fairly clean. The only thing is I could see it possibly, this being the liquidity pool for the KOD, is a possibility. Which would be like a 26% drop from where we're at right now. Yeah, you'll just have to wait and see. If this is taken though, I will swing this if this low is taken. Just because this looks really clean. But as of now, we're still looking bullish through here. So I wouldn't worry about it just yet. Anything else you guys want to ask about my time? Want me to review anything? Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We all good? All right. Well, then I'll wrap it up. I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. I will stop the recording here.